Could Allah kill himself? Could Allah create a rock bigger than himself? Could Allah create a question that he cannot answer? Now, what would happen if an indestructible wall was hit by a train that cannot stop or slow down? Could you draw a triangle with 4 sides? How can a triangle have 4 sides? If the sentence below is incorrect and the sentence above is correct, which one is right? These are all examples of a paradox. Could Allah create a rock bigger than himself? If we answer this question in the affirmative, then it would mean that our Lord is weaker than what he created. If we answer in the negative, then it would mean that our Lord is incapable. In both situations, Allah is deemed to be weak. The person asking this question does not comprehend that Allah is the greatest and what that actually means. Now let's think about this example. Say there's an engineer who designed a phone, and that the person who designed the phone existed before it and is not of the same kind. The rules that govern the phone and everything that is in it does not apply to him. According to the law of entropy, which is the second law of thermodynamics, the universe consists of 0 volume and endless density. This means that the universe was created from nothing. So there must be a being who chose existence over non-existence because this choice requires power, knowledge, and intention. We call this being Allah. When Allah brought the universe into existence, he created the concepts of time and space in relevance to this universe. Now, just like the engineering example, Allah cannot be the same as what he created, and he is not governed by the rules of his creation. Time is a part of the universe and was created later on. So, if Allah created time and space afterwards, this means that he existed before both, and that all of the rules that govern both time and space are not relevant to him. Everything governed by time is subject to decay, aging, and deformation. That is why they are mortal. But the one who created time is not subject to it, so he has no beginning and no end, meaning Allah is eternal and everlasting. So far, we have proved that Allah is not bound by time, and hence, he is eternal. Now, let's look at the question, which is, could Allah create something bigger than himself? This is not a valid question. Why? Because there is no number larger than infinity. Infinity plus 1 million is still infinity. If we try to find a number larger than infinity, then infinity wouldn't be infinity. This is how you can tell these questions are paradoxes. They ask, could the eternal Allah create something larger than himself? Such questions are surely paradoxes. Just as the reflection of a mountain could not be as heavy as a rock, any creature that is a mere reflection of the eternal power of Allah cannot be compared to his glory. A thing cannot be both dominant and submissive. Either it is dominant or submissive. The question is, could a dominant being submit itself to jail like a prisoner? Could Allah kill himself? How could the dominant one also be submissive? Could one who is submissive be dominant at the same time? No. This goes to show that this question is paradoxical. Just like the unstoppable train and the indestructible wall, there is something that we must initially address. The questioner is unaware of the states of existence. These are the states of wajib, mumkin, and mumtani. A being can only be one of these 3 things and cannot be anything else. I imagine you're confused. Let me give an example to clarify. That which is imperative and not dependent on anything to exist is wajib. For example, think of an author. The author is imperative to the book, meaning that his existence is imperative. Anything that has been created or has the potential to be created is mumkin. You can think of the author's book as an example. The book depends on the writer, who may or may not write it. The book's existence is dependent on the writer. Something that cannot be imagined to exist is mumtani. Its existence is impossible. For example, a book cannot write itself, or a book cannot be more intelligent than the writer. All of these are mumtani. Just like this, the being who wrote the book of creation must be Allah. He is wajibul wujud. The universe existence is mumkin. It depends on Allah. Yes, it is impossible that the universe and all that it contains could be greater or more powerful than Allah. It is also impossible that the universe and all that it contains could just exist by itself. There cannot be a number larger than infinity. A number is either odd or even. A number being both odd and even is also impossible. Let's take a mathematical fact as an example. We're going to make a comparison between the concept of infinity and numbers. Are you ready? All numbers are insignificant when compared to infinity, because numbers gain an order of greatness according to each other. 10 is larger than 9 but smaller than 11. There is no difference between 1 and 1 million when compared to infinity. The concept of quantity is not relevant to infinity. Therefore, there's no number larger than infinity, and such a comparison cannot be made. Just as we noted at the beginning of the video, no matter how great one thing may be compared to another, it cannot be compared to the greatness of Allah or the infinite power of Allah, and it will always be smaller and insignificant. So, such a question is not logical. It is unanimously agreed that the total reversal of truth is impossible, and nothing may become the very opposite and reverse of itself. And it's impossible to the 1000th degree that something should retain its own nature and yet at the same time become identical with its opposite. A truth cannot turn into its opposite. For example, the world is round and it cannot be flat. Again, it is not possible that a fact remains as it is, and that it transforms into that which is its opposite. What do I mean? For example, it is not naturally possible for the sun to remain as itself and turn into water at the same time. So, if we find it impossible for these truths to transform into their opposites, then to think that Allah can be both infinitely powerful and at the same time weak is certainly impossible.
दीन की बात फैलाना सदक़े जारिया है। सवाब की नीयत से वीडियो को शेयर जरूर कीजिए। जज़ाकल्लाह।